Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast, your friendly guide in bringing your business revenue to the next level. Listen as host Susie Carder hears inspiring stories of success from her fellow entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. Prepare to make significant change to your strategies as they unravel the secrets of building multi-million-dollar businesses and the most effective tips on finance, marketing, and sales accountability. If you want to make your first step towards explosive business growth, this is the right podcast for you. Without further ado, here is your host, Susie.
Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast. I am your host, Susie Carder, and I am so excited to introduce you to Mitch Russo. He started a software company in his garage and sold it for 8 figures and then partnered with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes to build a $25 million business together. Can you say wow? Can you say boom? He was nominated twice for Inc. Magazine Entrepreneur of the Year. Mitch helps companies scale rapidly. His first book, The Invisible Organization, and his second one called The Power of Tribes and How Certification Can Explode Your Business, has helped thousands of companies scale rapidly. Today, he's here to help coaches solve an old age problem while enhancing the results with their clients using his new coach practice management software called Client Folio. Every time I listen to Mitch, I'm blown away and like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So hold on to your seats. Welcome, Mitch. I'm so excited to have you. So excited, Mitch, that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. So I like to start every interview, did your formal bio, but I want you to share your badassery. Like, why should we pay attention? You know, there's so much noise going on there, and I don't think your bio really tells the juiciness of who you are, because you are a beast. A beast. So share with everybody your badassery, my friend.
Sure. Well, first of all, as a lead guitar player in a rock band,
So we have a legitimate rock star on the call today. Who knew Susie would have rock stars?
You got it, baby. I actually started my first band, my only band really, in high school. And Susie, I got to tell you why I started my band. I started it because I was so shy. I was afraid to talk to girls, and I figured if I had a rock band, I could probably attract more girls. And
did it work?
It worked like gangbusters.
I love it.
But and we had a lot of fun with it. You know, it turns out that we got real disciplined about it, and we practiced and created a set list, and then we started basically performing for Sweet 16s and college frat parties, and eventually we performed for the mayor's one of the mayor's pre-election parties, and so we did pretty well for a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds. Who were too young to even drive at the time. We started out at $50 a night, and by the time we all graduated high school, we were making $500 a night, and we were the highest paid local rock band in the area.
I love it. So look, not only business acumen, but he can serenade us while we do it.
Well, I'm not sure about serenading, but
did you play? What instrument did you play?
Lead guitar.
Lead guitar. Okay. I love it. That is awesome. So from starting a rock band to building a company, you know, to $10 million with a $5,000 investment. Okay. How, right? How? So I want to hear how.
Okay. Well, first of all, throw out everything you know about funnels and marketing plans and all this stuff, and start with basic needs. Say, what do I need that I can't find? I want to discover something that is not there that fills a need. And usually that's where most of my great ideas come from. So in this case, I was really trying to figure out how to keep track of time, and I couldn't find a tool to do it. So we decided to build it, and that was called Time Slips. And Time Slips started out as a tiny little, very small program for pop-up time tracking. Later, it turned into a full multi-user billing and invoicing system for lawyers and accountants. And basically, we let and here's the second secret, let your customers guide you to where they want to take your product. Now, have a vision. It doesn't exist, so create it in your mind, then create it in whatever form it needs to take, and then be completely open and accept and solicit feedback from your customers at every stage.
I love it. That's how I built my business, a multi-million-dollar business. When I first started, I didn't have a strategy, right? People were just going, but Susie, can I buy this? But Susie, can I buy this? I'm like, you want to buy this? Like, it was my operations manual, which I thought was nerdy, geeky.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just brought it to show them because it's a visual industry. And they're like, no, we'll buy it. I'm like, my pricing strategy, Mitch, I'm embarrassed to say, was how much will you pay for that? But it worked. I built a multi-million-dollar company by going, Mitch, how much will you pay for that?
Yep. But that's how you have to do it. We have to price test. We don't know what people will pay until we ask. And so, I mean, that's how I went from $50 a night to $500 a night for performances. We just kept, more or less doing the same thing as you, but we just kept raising the price until we hit resistance. At 500, we if we went to 600, we couldn't get booked.
Right.
So.
The funny thing, I keep raising the price based on, I'm like, I'm doing too much work. Like back in, the 90s when we started coaching, the coaching was new, right? I think Inc. magazine wrote an article about it. I'm like, I could do this coaching thing.
Sure.
Slowly, like, I'm doing too much work for this. Because I didn't have a pricing strategy. I didn't know how to do it. And this was way before the day where we had, software and, software share. We had to build it all from scratch. So you built a cutting edge software for coaches in a crazy crowded market. So there's so much competition, really, and entrepreneurs, we don't know what we don't know, so we get sparkle-eyed, like, oh, this is going to solve all my problems, right? So share with people what's different, what did you create, and I'm assuming you created it from finding the need, filling the need, right? The need that you saw that we needed, and listened to our customers, said, aha, I have it. So tell me the aha, I have it.
Okay. Well, the story is very simple. It's probably the same story that every one of you listening has already had of your own. And that is, I need something. I'll go look for it. I'll try this. I'll try this. I'll try this. None of this worked. But here's the difference between me and a lot of people. A lot of people will try and make use of something that's almost good enough. And I said, no way. I need this. And I can't find it, so I have to build it. And the truth of the matter is I really didn't expect it to turn into a full-blown coaching software and accountability system, but I needed it myself. I built it for myself. Now, I've been a coach for 27 years or something like that. My coaching business started after I sold my software company, and other software company CEOs came to me and said, how did you do that? Can you give us a hand? Can you help us do that too? So that's when I became a coach without realizing that's what it was called back then. And today I had that problem. I was willing to pay anything for software that would let me manage my client base and do it efficiently without a huge learning curve. I can't, Susie, I have no patience. I can't sit and watch hours of training videos.
Right.
It drives me nuts. So when I build Clientfolio, one of the prime directives was it's got to be so easy to use that someone could learn it in about 12 minutes. And so we have a 12 minute, 51 second training video. And that's the whole platform. That's everything in there. And it's a very robust platform. And the other thing I didn't like about the other software was there was a lot of these gotchas. Like, you know what? I have 2 clients and it's $39 a month. Oh, but you add a third client, it's $139 a month. Right. So I said, no. This has to be very low priced so it can accommodate beginner coaches, unlimited clients so they can grow forever. And at the same time, it has to have an expanding feature set as the company matures. And that's what's been happening.
That is delicious. So talk about us, like, what are all the assets that Clientfolio do? Because I love that. I think you have this list of here's all the things it replaces. Like, here's how much it would cost you. Here's all the things it would replace. And here's what we do, which was crazy. Because I don't know if anybody ever adds up. I do it every year, add up all that miscellaneous software that you have to have. This one has to speak to that one has to speak to this one. You're like, holy cow.
Well, you know, Susie, you don't really need, like, for example, before I had Clientfolio, before I would start a session, I would open up 5 different apps and browser windows all over 2 huge screens on my desk. And I'd have one for note taking. I'd have a spreadsheet for tracking goals and statistics. I'd have a WordPress window open to create the homework report. I'd have another browser open for my calendar, and then another browser yet open for Zoom and to capture the Zoom link. And then at the end of the session, I had to combine everything from all these different things into a single email and send it to the client. Then the following week, I had to go search for that email and read what I wrote. And I said, wait a second, I am spending 25 minutes on admin per 1 hour session, and it's driving me out of my mind. This is my peak cognitive time frame right in the middle of the day when I feel like I am the best at what I'm doing. And yet I can't stand spending that time on $10 an hour work. Right. So I've reduced all of that to 5 minutes per session. Now, when you log into Clientfolio, you pop past session tab open, and there's all your past sessions, all your notes, all your accountability questions, all your graphs from your goals and stats, all the Zoom recording, the downloaded files that you attached, everything is right there. And now my session takes 5 minutes to do full admin on. And for $20 a month, this is probably the easiest decision anyone could make about how to manage their own coaching practice.
I love it. Right. So you really look at, for an average, CEO or somebody that at our level that we're playing, let's say you paying yourself $250,000 a year, that's $119 an hour that you're spending doing admin work, right? Because we always say there's the time before, the time after, so a 1 hour call could be 3 hours if you don't have a system in place, right?
Right, exactly.
You look at that 1 hour call as 3 hours, or even, if you're efficient, like you said, the 1 hour call is 1 hour and 40 minutes. Right. You go, okay, I think when we look at it that way from that's what I love to do, is to go, what's that worth to you? What's that extra $119? What could you do for that? Get on the phone, call somebody else, get on the phone, deliver a service, get on the phone, sell somebody else, get on the phone, right? Yep. I'm the money honey. I'm going to look at getting on that phone and calling people, making it happen. Yeah, of course. Well, I want to make sure that you have the time in the middle of the day when you're fresh and when you're as sharp as can be to do that instead of writing out notes. I mean, it's just insane. So, So that's what the software is about. And the funny thing is that, when I started Timeslips Corporation and my partner and I put $5,000 into the bank each, we had $10,000 together. We spent $6,000 of that on marketing, and it completely failed. And the reason I said in the beginning that, forget the funnels, forget all this other stuff. And the reason I said that is because I felt like back then, and even right now, relationships are the best way to jumpstart any company. And I use as many great friends and relationships as partners as I possibly can. I'm a member of 3 different masterminds. I have a lot of conversational time with folks who we can do joint ventures together. And in many cases, people say, hey, Mitch, don't worry about reciprocating. We know you're a new company with Clientfolio. We'll just promote it because we love it. So just got off the phone or a Zoom session with a gentleman who said, look, I've been using this thing for 3 months. I'm promoting it to my entire community because we think everybody should use it. It's unbeatable for the price, and we still haven't found anything that duplicates the functionality. So that's why I think it's important to stay completely focused on understanding who your partners in your business are. Right. And so when you talk about the price, it's only $200 a year, right? That's right. So it's not crazy when you start looking at, the other software. I won't name names, sure. What you have to do to maintenance it, but it's not specific towards coaching. I think that's the beauty of this, is it's specific towards tracking your time, tracking your schedule, tracking your notes, right? When I look at the usability of it to go, I think it up levels your coaching service. It does. Right. And so What I love, there's the history component, which is, I don't know if you've ever been sued as a coach, but if you don't have that history, if you don't have that note taking, you will lose and have to refund the money. So I'm diligent with my notes to go, oh, here's what it is. Here's what we did. Here was the value. So I think nobody ever wants to think about that, but that's part of being a business owner, is how do I protect myself? Because, people are people, and, so that if you delivered the service, we have to be able to prove it. And most coaches are winging it, and they don't have that documentation.
That's so true. Now, we just added something very powerful to the system. It's called the client portal. And the reason I want to tell you about this is because before, the software served only coaches. Their clients would get an email, and in that email was all of the information from the session. 2 months ago, we introduced an innovative new feature I've never seen in any other coaching software, is that there's actually a button inside the email that says questions. So now if the client receives the email with their homework, they click the questions button, they could ask the question directly to the coach, and it shows up in the coach's console, on the coach's screen, right inside the session itself. So there's no more emails. And, I get 200 emails a day minimum. And if a client sends me an email and I don't check emails for 2 or 3 days, forget it. I've lost it. So we built that in, but now we went one step further. Now we let our client log in to their own portal, see all their past homework, answer their own accountability questions, and enter their own numerical stats or goals that they're tracking with the help of their coach. So what this does is, it saves a lot of time for the coach having to sit down and ask the accountability questions and type in the answers themselves. Same with stats and goals. Okay, how much? What was your revenue this week? What was your this week? Instead, now the client was shifting the responsibility to the client to do that, and all of the graphs that we produce with that statistical information is available directly to the client as well. So talk about an audit trail. I mean, we're giving the client literally a complete login for all their past session work, all their stats, all their accountability, and they can still ask questions on any individual homework item that they want.
Okay, every time I talk to you, Mitch, I'm always like, wait, what? Wait, we need this, right? Which I love. That's a good product when you're like, wait, I got to do this now. I got no more procrastinating. Susie's saying that for herself more than I'm saying it for you, right?
Sure.
So just looking at, how do we be more efficient as coaches, right? I love that tool, right? You start looking at group coaching. How are you managing them? That's a big beast, but this eliminates that micromanaging. And I love all those emails, right? Because we do the same thing. My assistant will go in and delete stuff. And if they don't know, they might accidentally delete a client,
right?
Because they just don't know that that's the client. And that's lost revenue. One upset client, man, I'm telling you, got to be so on top of the ball. The expectations are so high. What are we doing to deliver that world-class service? And so talk about, did you learn that? Because you've been, when I look at Chet Holmes, and people may not know those names, you got to be a little seasoned like us, right?
Yeah, a little.
But everybody knows Tony Robbins, right?
That's right.
So he's a household name. So what would you say your biggest learning has been working with Tony, for 5 years, and you did a great job growing his business?
Yep. I would say there's so many things I would hardly know where to start, but I'll tell you one of the most unique things I learned. First of all, Tony is one of the most heart-centered. He's the most real person I've ever met, both on stage and in person, one-on-one. And he leads through and with his heart, but he's brilliant. One of the things that Tony and I agreed on that Chet didn't was that customer satisfaction, thrilling the customer, was the most important role that we had as a company. And our goal was always to make sure the client, we over-delivered, at excess levels to that client. So when we would sell 30-minute coaching sessions, we would tell our coaches to budget 35 to 40 minutes because we never wanted to shortchange a client. When we sold a program, if it included a certain number of whatever it might be, group sessions, we gave them extra. Or we sent them surprises, updated new modules as we released them. We did everything to thrill that customer. And if there was a conflict and someone said, well, you know what, I this didn't work for me, and they're outside their 30-day return window or whatever that was, we would tell them that we would help them achieve the goals the program promised and refund their money at the same time. Now, talk about creating from a disgruntled client to an ambassador. That's amazing. And that's what we did.
I love it. So what was the business you guys built together?
Business Breakthroughs International. Business Breakthroughs was a joint venture between Chet, Tony, and myself. My role was I was behind the curtain pulling the levers while Chet and Tony were out front.
Right. You were the all and powerful Oz.
I was the Oz, yes.
And every business needs an Oz, right? People get caught up in, yes, I'm the face, but who's behind you, right? If you don't have that person that is operational, thinking, how do we make that experience amazing? Like you said, I love even that one little gem, like, surprise modules. Here's a bonus. Here's, that's just sexy and fun.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Which increases client retention, increases their loyalty, and then they feel valued and heard, right? Yep. Well, so, building a technology company, because I built one in the beauty industry, right? Didn't know anything about technology. It can be a challenge in any market, let alone inside of this market. So what's been your strategy? Because a lot of business, the current stat I just read from Inc. magazine is 60% of small businesses have closed their doors. And those are the ones that are reporting. We know that number is higher because there's people that don't report. Right. They might have a side hustle that was still a business, but they got lost in this thing called the pandemic and they're struggling. And whatever the pandemic is, right? Right now it happens to be this one, but there's always something, right? From the economic crisis to, wars, all kinds of things that are happening. So what have you been doing to keep growing? Because you keep growing, you keep showing up. I keep seeing you everywhere, which that's a true testament. The real deal. We're everywhere together, right? We're in a mastermind group together. So what's been your secret sauce to growing and staying in action?
Well, first of all, on a personal level, I get bored easily. And if I have, I don't know really how anyone could ever retire, because that's no fun. Maybe to some people, retiring means playing golf every day. That would be great. It's not that interesting to me. I prefer to work with people. I have found over the years that most of us derive our greatest satisfaction from helping others. And when you stop helping others, it doesn't feel as good as when you did. And so the more I can do that and the more ways I can do that, the happier I am. And so I focus on my happiness. And then because of that, I want to help more people. And because of that, I come up with ways to do that. And that's my way of enjoying my life. Now, for others, they have this big dream of retirement. And I would tell you that when I sold my first software company, I could have retired at the age of 44 and never worked another day in my life. I tried to retire for about 5 weeks. And I said, this is incredible. I'm going out of my mind. I can't stand this. Right. And then out of the blue, I started getting those phone calls. Hey, Mitch, can you help us, sell our company? And how do we scale? And how do we do this? And so I realized back then that was going to be my path.
Right. Yeah, I lasted about a year when I sold my company, right? And then I'm like, I do not garden. Like, I had just bought this beautiful home. So I spent about a year, making the home amazing. And then I'm like, okay, now what? Because and I think I was 45, And then the market crashed and that humbled me and I had to go back to work.
I hear you.
From that experience. But, same way. It's like, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. Yeah. Right. You have to make sure. And I think a lot of our clients feel that way, right? They do what they do because they're at that highest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization. The challenge is they don't know how to monetize that, right? And so working together by bringing badass partners like yourself, Mitch, to go, we've got to monetize what we do because the more money we make, the more good we can do in the world.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can take care of our families differently. We can have a lifestyle that's different. We can provide for our communities differently. And so I'm an advocate to really make sure people are putting that profit model and really look at saving time, saving money.
Fantastic. Well, the other thing that I focus a lot on when I work with folks is the business model itself. A lot of people can be full of energy and work really hard, But if you don't start with a business model, then you could literally, it's like getting into a speeding car going in the wrong direction and trying to go faster to get there, to get where your destination is. But unfortunately, it's behind you. So what I start with is I usually start with a 2-hour session with any new client. In fact, I have one right after this interview with a new client, and we are going to dive deep into their business model. And 2 hours later, I will have drawn on screen a complete map of their entire business opportunity, down to every promotional channel, every potential upsell, product, service, opportunity, selling system. All of those things will be done in 2 hours. And then from there, we spend the next 6 weeks together putting in place everything that we had prioritized in that first session. So really what I would advise anybody who is in the process of growing to stop what you're doing and figure it out and really build a business model that you can follow and adjust weekly with your team if necessary. But without that, you're just headed in the wrong direction.
Exactly. So I think what's important, which I tell my clients, is who's coaching the coach, right? Who are you really looking at? What is next year look like now? Not when you're in next year. Like we're doing it all now to go, how do I reinvent what I did? Did that work? Did that not work? I did that in June. I took 6 weeks and went, this isn't as fun as I wanted it to be. Because it's got to be fun for me, right? Fun. It's got to make a difference. It's got to be fun. Got to make money, right? It's got to leave a legacy. And to go, what's missing? So I love that you just, again, reiterate that, because I think everybody needs a coach, and who's your next coach, right? Some of you have worked with me for years. It's time to get a new coach, right? That may be Mitch. Go do your due diligence. Make an appointment with them, right? You can get in touch with them by Mitch Russo 360, right? To talk to them. I'm an advocate of go find the right people that are going to help you get to your next, right? So that you're not struggling. Yes, you're going to make an investment, but the money you save by investing in the right coach, right? That you should make, right, in your projections to go, I always tell my clients, I'm not a cost center. I'm an investment center. We're going to show you the money, right?
Right. Exactly. And that's great advice. And the only thing I'd add to that is whatever you're trying to do, if you're looking for a coach, make sure your coach has already done it, typically multiple times. Don't just hire somebody because you like them, because you can like a lot of people. But the bottom line is, did they do exactly what you're doing or close enough to it so that they can guide you through it with confidence and know for certain that the end result will be there? If the answer is yes, that might be a good candidate, of course.
Yes. Juicy. So let's talk about, because some of my biggest learning has been the hardest challenges that I faced. Some people call it failures, right? And whenever I'm in it, I hate being in it, but I love the story that comes out of it, right? So I don't want to suffer in it. I just want to look at what's the lesson I've learned. If I can get the lesson I learned, then I'm going to save Mitch. He's not going to learn that lesson. He might learn a different one, but it's like, no, don't do that, do this. So what's been your biggest challenge or your biggest failure, and then what'd you learn from it?
Wow, such a great question. When I sold Timeslips Corporation, I had to become an employee again. I was an employee in my youth, and then I really started my own company. I'd never intended to ever work for anyone again, but now I had to be an employee again. But it was a requirement of the sale, so I had to earn out the final piece of our payments, which turned out amazing. But nonetheless, I realized that I was resisting internally. I was resisting all the time. So by putting myself in resistance, I ended up with headaches every day. I actually had a bottle of, at the time, aspirin in my desk, and I'd start my day by taking aspirin because of how much I realized I was going to hate my day. And this resistance is what slows us down. As long as you are able to see the value of doing anything, you don't have to be in resistance about it. So yeah, I could tell you about tactical mistakes I made, like launching a product without testing the market or pricing something completely wrong. I could tell you all those things. But ultimately, what the most important thing is to clear yourself of resistance and free yourself to experience in the moment exactly what you're doing and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice, because that's that saying, what you resist persists. And so starting your day with aspirin is never a good thing.
Never a good thing, I promise.
Never a good thing.
Yeah.
So Mitch, looking back in your life and looking back in who Mitch Russo is, you have a very eclectic background.
Yes.
What's the one thing that you want to be remembered for?
Oh, you're going to laugh if I tell you. Has nothing to do with business. First of all, I leave one particular legacy, and that's my beautiful daughter, who her mom left when she was about 8 years old, and I raised myself as a single dad. So that in some way is a legacy for me. But we talked a lot about business today and about helping others, but my true creative passion is my photography. So I have spent 50, almost 60 years as a photographer. And in the last 30 years, traveled all over the world, and I've won international contests and been featured in magazines in different countries, and had solo exhibitions in galleries. My photography is where my heart lives. And part of what happened during the pandemic is I couldn't do what I love to do. And when you're a creative person and there's no outlet, you have to find an outlet or else you'll die. And that's, for me, turned out to be, well, I could sit here and watch Netflix and binge on frozen dinners, or I could create products. I can create my software system. I could write guides for people. I could write a new book again, now have another book. So, I mean, creativity is inborn in every one of us. It's how you choose to express it. My photography is my prime way of expressing it.
I love that. That is juicy. And thank you for being a single dad and being a great example for your daughter. I hear the pride in your voice, and you always hear about a single mom, but there's dads out there that are taking on that same hero's journey. So
yep.
She's lucky to have you as a dad.
I'm lucky to have her. She's been such an incredible addition to my life.
Isn't that awesome? I love that. Okay, so what's one question that you wish I would have asked you that we should know about you or your business or your coaching or your power tribes behind you?
Well, I mean, probably, if people are watching us instead of listening, they see on the screen my book, Power Tribes. The origin of that is how I created a certified consultant program back in 1988. And that has been a blueprint for me in almost every other company I've built. And now I do this for other clients as well. But it's amazing to me how many people get certification wrong. Certification should be multiple recurring revenue streams that come in every single month from your best clients to your company. And I see coaches say, okay, well, you know what? We could probably sell certification for $3,000. Let's write a test. Let's sell the test. Now you're certified. Boom. Thank you. And I think to myself, wow, what a waste. I mean, what a wasted opportunity. And I would urge everybody to really think about the fact that if you wanted to ever replace yourself, and you said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll just hire 2 coaches. And this way I'll take 50% of whatever they generate. And boom, I'll now make what I used to make before. Well, that's great. I had 350 of those people, and I had them all over the country. And I had them in terms of competition. We smoked the competition because of having certified coaches, certified consultants. And I would urge everybody to think more about what is it that they do? What is their genius that they could license and then teach others and have others go out and do that for them while making money themselves.
Yes, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Look, you're just dropping diamonds and bombs all day. So, so you're going to give us a prize because we love prizes, and we talked about it and we created a juicy prize together. So Mitch, why don't you share what our juicy prize is? Okay.
Well, first of all, this is for, I started out by telling you that I blew my marketing budget at time slips and I used relationships. Well, I didn't didn't quite explain more about that. So I wrote a guide called Profit Stacking Secrets. And this guide is free. And you can go to profitstackingsecrets.com. And in there are 3 strategies, the 3 key strategies that I used in order to get my company off the ground and up into the 7 and then 8-figure range. And the 3 key strategies are PR, joint ventures, and now we call it podcast guesting, but back then it used to be radio interviews. So those 3 things were way more valuable than any amount of money and marketing budget we could possibly have. If you use the guide I provide for free, and if you follow the steps and the templates that you get with that guide, you could do all 3 of those things literally for free, maybe for $10 or $20 a month if you sign up for a PR service. That to me is probably the most valuable thing I could offer as a way to help others.
I love it. So thank you. And you also, look, I twisted his arm. We're also going to give you a free trial, right? To the
and the client folio. Absolutely.
Yeah, client folio. So for $1, right?
You got it. Got to be $1.
For 14 to 30 days to go play. Go play, right? 12 minutes to invest so you can see how can you monetize your clients, track your clients, stay in touch with them, really serve them to the next level. Mitch, you are so generous. I really appreciate your genius. I really appreciate your contribution. Thank you for being my partner in this podcast, but more importantly, thank you for being our partner in our financial wealth, because that's what we're all talking about, is how do we live our life, live our destiny, live our legacy, and more importantly, have that financial reward that comes with it. We know that you're in business for yourself, not by yourself. We are your partners in that journey. Whatever you need, please go reach out to Mitch on all social platforms, MitchRusso360.com. That's MITCHRUSSO 360. If this has been impactful for you, please share it with your tribe, your community, right, to be able to share Mitch's software, but also his genius, right? One idea, right? The one idea I'm walking away with is, those surprise modules that you give your clients. That's just a great little love check, right? Love check. So
you got it.
Thank you so much, Mitch. I appreciate you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Power Your Profits podcast. Let these building blocks from today's most successful industry leaders equip you with the necessary resources and tools to finally establish the highly profitable business of your dreams. Want to hear more? Listen to more episodes at https://poweryourprofitspodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now is your time to rise to the top of your game, so be sure to catch our next episode. Until next time.